Concentrating the vital spirit. According to Master Wang Leping, this is 3, by the way. Part 3! Or maybe 4, but it's technically part 3. Training could be divided into 9 stages. At this point in the story, he was going into the second stage, which involves collecting the mind and developing essential nature. This work is still concerned with the refinement of the inner essence of the mind, but it is at a higher and more difficult level than repentance. Its requirements are stricter, and the external conditions of practice are yet more severe. The aim is to get the practitioner to concentrate the vital spirit using unified concentration of the whole spirit to examine minute changes from within the body, producing extraordinary capacities within the ordinary. For this exercise, his mentors moved Wing Leping into a pit in the earth. The pit was narrow, dark, and dank, without good air circulation. Ordinarily, one would not think it a suitable place for doing exercises, but the 3 wizards had a deep reason for finding this spot for their apprentice to sit and do his inner work. It was not just a matter of using negative environment to develop extraordinary character, as one would usually imagine. The principle of contrary use of the surroundings has more positive rationale. The pit, going deep underground, was dark and wet. Could the principle be herein, earth and depth both correspond to the earth element and the 5 elements, so the energy of earth is doubled? Shade and darkness of the extreme yin, and when yin reaches its extreme, yang arises. Moisture corresponds to the water element and the 5 elements, and is the source of life. In both the primal and temporal ordering of the 8 trigrams of the I Ching, or the Book of Changes, earth and water or beings, both below. The traditions on the changes says, consummate as the creative basis of earth. All beings live in sustenance as it goes along in accord with what it receives from heaven. Earth is thick and supports beings. Its virtues are boundless. Its embrace is far-reaching, and its glory is great, so all things flourish. The Tao Te Ching says, the way obeys nature, and it recommends quiet, emptiness, and keeping centered, which are both virtues associated with earth. In the I Ching trigram symbol for water, yin surrounds outside, and yang is in the center, representing yang, submerged in yang. Outwardly empty, while inwardly fulfilled. The traditions on the changes say, going through dangerous straits without losing faith, that mind gets through successfully by means of firmness and balance. This seems to be the rationale for the 3 wizards using a pit in the earth to train Wang Leping. The young apprentice himself, of course, has no idea of his teacher's purpose in putting him there. Jumping down into the pit, Leping lit sticks of incense at each of the 4 corners according to instructions. The little cavern quickly filled with smoke, and the youth sat down and began to practice his inner exercise. At first, Leping was able to sit calmly and quietly, but before long the smoke got so dense, combined with the wet and cold vapors hanging heavy in the air, that breathing became difficult. Finally, his primitive nature lost its patience again, and he shouted, "It's suffocating me!" He was hoping the teachers would let him out of the pit. But when Jayamong had already told him to follow instructions strictly without any fuss. Yeah, with all that smoky incense in all the four corners. At this point, he knew that if he didn't obey, he'd be severely punished. All he could do was follow the course prescribed by his mentor. Confined in the dark, dank pit and suffocating, it was hard to sit cross-legged. Figuring that his mentor had already locked up and wouldn't come back, Liping decided to change positions and relax his body a little bit. So he leaned against the side of the pit and stretched out his arms and legs. Just as he was getting comfortable, a flash and an incomprehensible change took place in the appearance of the pit. Right before Liping's eyes, suddenly it seemed to be as big as a banquet hall and full of light. The Grandmaster and the two mentors were sitting before him, with the air and appearance of people from the immortal realms. The old master's face was red. Speaking solemnly, he said, "What nerve, mediocre little boy like you dares fool around in front of the likes of us? How can you go on hoodwinking us once you have become a disciple? Your commitment stands before you. Whether or not a teacher is present, you should take it to heart. The methods of attaining the way are transmitted verbally by teachers, but you are required to cultivate them seriously in your own body. The way you are now, unless you eliminate the poisons and delinquent tendencies in your heart as soon as possible, collect your spirit and develop your nature. How can you attain the way?" Having finished his little speech, the old master closed his eyes. One of the mentors raised a disciplinary ruler, but didn't bring it down on him. The other mentor pulled out a rope, but stopped there. Wing Liping hurriedly knelt down and cried out an apology and promised not to be presumptuous again. Now when he raised his head again, Liping saw nothing but the interior of the pit, cramped, dark, dank, suffocating as before. But he felt a pain in the palms of his hands, and he saw that his legs had been bound up tightly. Then he realized that the old master and the two mentors had already administered punishment in some way. Mortified with shame, Liping said, "Now understand how quickly and how highly developed the accomplishments of the master and the mentors were." He also realized that his mind had not been thoroughly cleaned, and that he was very far from the way. No longer would he have any illusions and boast of trivial intelligence. He would turn wholeheartedly to the way. And first he would work on this practice of collecting the mind and developing his nature. The nature. Collecting the mind and developing the nature. Keeping to the center, silent and empty. Smoke. When Wang Liping had learned to sit cross-legged for 4 hours in the pit, filled with incense smoke, the old master and the mentors really finally began to transmit to him the teachings of the Dragon Gate sect of complete reality, Taoism, known as the art of inner exercise of mental capacities, attained through the classical spiritual jewels. Ting. As he learned from his teachers, Liping worked on applying the new skills in practice, so his efforts gradually led him to the true way. This is the art of inner exercise of mental capacities, according to the classical spiritual jewels, is one of the ancient Taoist methods of internal work. Its doctrine is saving one from birth and death is first. Saving one from birth and death is first. Comfort and long life come after. Its special features are inclusion of both movement and stillness, and cultivation of both essential nature of life energy. The art has many techniques, which are simple and easy to practice, naturally forming a detailed and comprehensive system for training the capacities of the whole human being. This teaching has been treasured by specialists in the method for a long time and has been passed only on by word of mouth and kept only in memory, transmitted individually from teacher to disciple, kept secret and not publicly divulged. The art of inner exercise of mental capacities attained through the classical spiritual jewels is divided into 3 exercises and 9 methods. The 3 exercises are the 3 immortal exercises, or quiet sitting exercises. Exercises involving external movements known as the equilibrium exercises, and sleeping exercises practiced at leisure. The 9 methods deal with developing mental capacities, stopping illness, curing illness, transmitting awareness, stabilizing the mind, settling your birth and death, cutting off the earthly soul, and receiving images. Among these 9 methods, the first 4 are methods of helping people create happiness. The latter 5 are methods of overcoming people and methods of controlling people. The 4th method, transmitting awareness, includes methods of overcoming people.